Hello, I'm Antonio Mora. This is the newsandnews.com Day in Brief. Today's top stories in 4 minutes. It's Monday, December 3rd at about 7 p.m. President George H.W. Bush returned to the U.S. Capitol today. He served there as President of the Senate during his years as Vice President and as a congressman from Texas. He testified there as the Director of the CIA, and he delivered State of the Union addresses as President of the United States. He is the 32nd American to lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda, and it is hard to imagine anyone else deserved the honor more. More than half of the people alive in the U.S. today were either not born or too young to have understood the magnitude of the events President Bush presided over. The fall of the Berlin Wall, the end of the Cold War, the reunification of Germany. They were seismic events that transformed the world and needed a sure hand at the helm of the international community. The ceremonies that honored President Bush today in Houston, Joint Base Andrews, and the Capitol begin a week of commemorations, celebrating the life of a truly great American. He lived long enough to see his love of country returned by those he served since his days as a teenage Navy pilot. Let his memory remind us that a unified country is not just a thing of the past. Showing respect to President Bush, congressional leaders have agreed to extend government funding for 2 weeks until just before Christmas. But there may be divisions between the White House on the one hand and the Pentagon and congressional Republicans on the other. President Trump is looking for a cut in military spending, but some GOP leaders on the Hill are calling that dangerous. Confusion surrounds the trade talks with China because there are different versions of what was agreed to in Buenos Aires at the G20 coming from the president, the White House, and China. What seems to be clear is that some sort of trade truce was agreed to and that trade talks will move forward. Global markets rose strongly in response, with all the major U.S. indexes up by more than 1%. Ukraine keeps begging for help from NATO countries as its standoff with Russia continues. Today, President Petro Poroshenko called on Germany and its allies to boost their naval presence in the Black Sea to deter Russia from further aggression. I would not hold my breath, but the West needs to have an unambiguous and united response to Russia's threatened expansionism. In our alternate universes segment, the great divide between conservative and liberal media didn't really exist over the past few days. Anchors and pundits seemed united in their respect for the 41st president. So I'll share part of a Facebook post today written by my old friend Carol Simpson. If you don't know Carol, she was a pioneer African-American anchor and correspondent. She points out that none of the coverage of Bush's death has focused on race. So she tells the story of how decades ago, during a campaign, Bush invited her to go with him to an all-white church in North Carolina. She writes that she could feel the hostility from the congregants toward her and toward Bush for bringing her, but he made sure Carol was included throughout. She further writes that in all the years she covered him, he showed no difference between black and white. She ends saying, quote, while I didn't like some of his policies, I did like, maybe loved, George and Barbara Bush. I truly believe that to them, race did not matter much, if at all. We have all those stories and much more updated around the clock 7 days a week on newsandnews.com, where you will find all you need to know in one place. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the right of your screen just below this video, and please follow us on Facebook at Real News and News, and follow me on Twitter at AMoraTV. I'll see you again tomorrow.